Welcome back to whatever we're going to call this. We have no idea what the name of this show is going to be, but it's going to be something along the lines with Terry Tam talks to random people here and there every month, every so often. Today, honestly, I'm super happy to have on buddy Adam Caplan from AC Radio. Just launched his new podcast, formerly known as the Unanimous Decision. I was on that a few times. My girlfriend actually reminded me the first time you had me on, I think we spoke for like 3.5 hours. And I was on the phone in my kitchen, and she's like, "You were gone for almost 4 hours." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It honestly flew by. And I got Adam on right now. He's been on with us before. Adam, how's it going, buddy?
I'm good, man. You just redeemed yourself because at first you said talking to random people, so you really made me feel good. And then, you brought back the old days of, the unanimous decision, collabing with Hot Sauce Sports. I really miss those days where we'd hop on there for 1 to 3 hours and just shoot the shit. For me, I really didn't give a shit whether we got 1 view or 1,000 views. Just the amount of fun that went right by during those hours was definitely the case. And
Yeah.
Any opportunity that your girl refers to me as your boyfriend is a great opportunity for me.
Yeah, always. She's like, "Oh, your boyfriend's calling." And every once in a while, like I'll get a text from you, right? So then she'll look at my phone, she'll be like, "Oh, your boyfriend's calling." But it comes up randomly. I love it. I fucking love it. So what's going on, man? So you're doing your first play-by-play this coming weekend, right? At Front Row Fight Club 1, our boys, Top Stop Sports guys, we used to do the live streams with those legendary live streams. We used to do it, fucking those old UFC fights. No, those were epic. Those were unbelievable. I'd always get hammered. It was unbelievable. So, how did you get into? How did they come? How did they ask you? Like, what was the whole process? It's your first time, right? So, I know like we're buddies with them, but like, what was the whole process behind it?
Yeah, so nothing really fancy about the story. I mean, Chris reached out to me maybe about 2 months ago and said, "Hey, there might be an opportunity where you could work cage side commentary for us for the first event of Front Row Fight Club." And I was like, "Look, man, keep me in the loop. I'm all over that." And keep me in the loop. And then about a month and a half went by, and I hadn't heard anything. And I reached out to Chris and I said, "So, what's the dealio?" And the next day, the offer was sent to me, and I'll be on the road tonight at about 3, 4 a.m. to make it for the weigh-ins. And it's an opportunity of a lifetime for me. Talking is definitely one of my strong suits. I have no problem with that. Play-by-play commentary is a new thing, but I'm pretty familiar with the sport of mixed martial arts and boxing, and I'm even more familiar with calling it as I see it. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be in the booth next to Jack and Chris, and it's a great opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the success of the first event, so that hopefully I'll be able to be cage side with them again moving forward.
Are you doing the play-by-play? Or are you doing the color?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure. To be quite honest, I think it is everybody's first time. So I think everybody's going to, try to do a little bit of both. If I had to guess, I would say Chris would be more of the color guy, and me and Jack would kind of take the realm on doing a little bit of play-by-play and color as well. I'm a versatile chit chatter, so I don't really think it'll be too much of a problem.
No, I think you'll be fine. And Chris is good. He'll give you those random punchlines here and there.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. I mean, as long as I don't pull a John Anik and say, so and so is, really happy to be back in the cage since he has to pay child support or alimony to his kid. I think I'll be. I think I'll
Yeah,
be
yeah.
fine.
Holy shit, man. Honestly, but that's the thing is like we've done so many live streams and we just talk shit and sometimes we'll say like the wrong thing and you don't want that to come out because there's a context for everything, right? So you're gonna say something dumb and you don't want to say like I don't even want to think about what I would say by accident, and if you're saying it on a live stream. So where's the fight? I ordered it. It's on Fight TV, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Fight TV, such a great app. I mean, giving regional shows an opportunity and a platform to actually play their events, which is really, really great. So it's going to be at the Niagara Convention Center in Niagara Falls, obviously. And, the capacity of the stadium or the arena is pretty significant. So, I think that place is definitely going to be making some noise for sure.
Well, I mean, if it's any consolation to that video that Chris posted on Facebook of those guys in from that area, that Welland area, man, it's like the how can I say this, man? It's like it's known to be like just brawls all the time. It's like the West Virginia of Canada, basically that little area where you guys are going to be. So these guys are huge fight fans. Like the picture, probably a bunch of Nate Diaz fans over there, guaranteed, wearing the
Which
rep.
which pod were you talking about, or which group of guys?
What do you mean?
You said that there's a group of guys out there. Are you just being like generally speaking?
Yeah, in
Or
general, like they love it out there. They love fights out there. It's just like that type of place. And even the hockey players are always like the tough guys that come out of that city too. Like Paul Bissonnette is from Welland, like that's just
oh,
from that area, and that's where Chris is from, and it's close to Niagara. So it's like a tough part of Canada that people don't realize. Like Niagara Falls, you think the falls, right? But it's a tough part of Canada that people don't realize. A lot of fight fans out there. I'm sure you guys will fill it up, and I hope you guys do. But who's on that card? That you're excited to see? I know there's a few cancellations, but what's the whole card look like, and who's the fight you're most excited to see?
yeah. Unfortunately, Mustafa versus Wu is off. That would have been one of the bigger Canadian heavyweight fights that Canada has seen in a little bit. And Jordan Balmir and Xavier Nash is also off. That was supposed to be a great fight. And the last fight was Matt Special versus Suil Tahiri, a UAE Warriors veteran. And, Special is, trained by Joe Valtellini. So obviously an amazing kickboxer. Was really looking forward to those matches. But right now, I would say, standard procedure, definitely looking forward to the main event, Imperato versus Carson. And I would say, for more of like a prelims or like first fight of the night type of bout, I'm looking forward to Gino versus Noah Crosswell, because there's definitely some beef there. They have some unsettled business.
Oh, they
And
do.
I'm looking forward to Gino G and Noah Crosswell getting in there and kind of settling things. And I'll be calling him Gino G the whole time, baby. I think that there's nothing better than a nickname like that. Sounds like a guy who could be on the first or fourth line in the NHL. Sounds like a guy who's hitting home runs in the MLB. And maybe we'll see Saturday night he'll be throwing bombs on Front Row Fight Club.
What's the beef between them? Do you know any details?
Well, I believe that Noah comes from a mixed martial arts family. So I feel that Gino feels that he's been a little bit protected in his amateur career, and, doesn't always feel like he's the most consistent mixed martial artist in the training room. And, Gino kind of feels like Noah has had the path paved to him in a certain way, which, I don't think I necessarily agree with. But at the same time, I mean, there are a lot of politics and a lot of talk that go on in mixed martial arts, especially in Ontario as well. It's a pretty tight knit community, I would say, even tighter than Montreal. And that seems to be why Gino has a bit of a chip on his shoulder towards Noah. And Noah obviously is reciprocating due to the fact that when someone has something to say about him, he then has something to say about the opposing person. But ultimately, it's as they say, it's all talk. It's all going to get settled in the cage on Saturday night.
That's it. I mean, you can say anything you want. I thought it was like more personal than that. Like I didn't think it was just because of work ethic. I feel like people take it too personally.
Yeah, I mean, look, people devote their whole lives to the fight game, right? So it obviously, yeah, it's not as personal. You know what I mean? I don't have to give a few examples as terms of what could have made it be a lot worse. But people not feeling like they are getting their due, in my opinion, in the fight game is more than enough reason to want to step in there and dance.
Of course, of course. I mean, it's a perfect segue to what I wanted to talk to you about. And Jake Paul. I mean, listen, he's a guy who's all of a sudden he's making all this money, and all these YouTubers are making all this money, and he's official. It's official finally. I mean, we'll see. But him and Tommy Fury is supposed to fight August 6th. Finally, that's the fight. Actually, I think a lot of people actually want to see. I'd rather see that than anything else he did. Basically, before this, you know what I mean? Like, I'm happy that he's fighting a guy like Tommy Fury, because I feel like they're kind of at the same level. But either way, he's the type of guy who's been screaming fighter pay, fighter pay, fighter pay, showing how much he can make. But the difference is that he's a self-promoter. He's been his entire life, where a lot of these guys, they're part of this whole old school, either boxing or MMA, these old school organizations, and like, stick to your lane, work hard, and you'll get your opportunity when it comes. A lot of these guys are creating their own opportunities. Like, we can say Conor McGregor called his own shot too. Nate Diaz called his own shot against Conor McGregor. Like, people are creating their own opportunities nowadays. And I think to your point is that even if it is paved for you, you're still, that was an opportunity that you created.
Well, absolutely. I mean, first off, I don't think people actually consider the amount of work that Jake Paul has had to put into his YouTube career. Obviously, I understand that, YouTube and fighting are two separate avenues, but now we're in the era where they have found a way to mesh them both together. And it is entertainment. So the fact that people are a little bit butthurt that he's getting that much attention, etc., then you got to step on one of these bad boys and start running your mouth and start calling people out.
Yeah.
And, what boggles my mind is the fact that fighters don't want to pave their own route. That's why I have so much respect for Michael Chandler. He's always thinking 2 to 3 steps ahead. He's always thinking about his next opponents. He's not just going to wait for the UFC brass or the Bellator brass to dictate where his career should go and who he should fight and kind of the path that it should be taken. So, I appreciate the fact that these fighters, the ones that are getting on the mic and are, setting the record straight for what they want to do. But most importantly, it's the guys that are bringing asses in the seats, pay-per-views being bought for, and obviously emphatic finishes that are actually going to get what they want. And we're seeing that in Michael Chandler. We're seeing that in Jake Paul as well. And, I love the fight versus Tommy Fury. I went to the Woodley Paul fight number 2 in Tampa Bay. I had a fantastic, fantastic time. As a Jake Paul fan personally, I was a little bit worried. Didn't feel like the fight was really going his way the first few rounds. And that certainly changed when he got the knockout of the year against Tyron Woodley. But I was definitely
the alleged knockout. Alleged.
A what?
Alleged knockout, because people are saying that he triggered him.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I too would let somebody knock me out on national television and then have my brain bounce against the canvas like a basketball. But
in front of my mother, my daughter, my family, in front of everybody I love, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to go out on my stomach like that against a YouTuber for sure.
Yeah. It's worth the $500,000.
Yeah, I'm sure you could sense the sarcasm there in my voice. I definitely don't think that it was a fixed fight, but haters gonna hate. It is what it is. But like I said, man, I mean, I wanted to see the Fury fight to begin with. That's why I bought the ticket. So I'm certainly looking forward to this one. I think that Fury's last opponent being 9-1 was a great opponent for him because he had a great record, but the skills weren't necessarily there either. So from a resume standpoint, it was the perfect fight to put on. You're looking at it. There was no way that Jake was going to fight Anderson Silva next. There was no way he was going to fight Sonny Bill Williams. And there was no way he was going to fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. So this absolutely makes sense for him to fight Tommy Fury in his next fight. And I believe this will be his 6th fight? He's 5-0?
Yeah. No. 2, 3. Yeah, he's 5-0. Yeah, he's got 2 against Woodley, Askren, Nate Robinson, the YouTuber,
Gib.
2 YouTubers. Who?
Yeah, and Gib, and then he fought one amateur fight against Deji. So exactly. This is going to be a 6th fight, and what folks don't understand is that in 5 fights he's already beaten 2 MMA world champions, and ones that will actually go down in history as dominant ones in one championship and the UFC. I mean, remember a point in time when Tyron Woodley was supposed to surpass George St. Pierre?
Yeah, I mean,
so I understand that Woodley is not a boxer. He's a wrestler with an overhand right, and his skills have been on the decline, etc. But what people don't realize is the amount of experience that Woodley and Askren have had in the fight game. To see what Jake Paul has done, in my opinion, has been impressive. You have to ignore the bullshit that he says when he thinks that Arthur Beterbiev is trash and Joe Smith Jr. is trash and he'll be the light heavyweight champ of the year. This is nonsense.
Yeah, he's just he's foreshadowing. He's just showing us what he's gonna say. So it's not shocking when it happens in 2 years, because
sure. And he just wants to trigger people, man.
Yeah, and it's working.
Take too seriously.
Yeah,
okay? They take what our politicians say too seriously. They think they're our saviors. They take what a burner account on Twitter says too seriously, and they also take too seriously what Jake Paul says. And
Yeah.
you got to be able to sift out the bullshit, guys.
Of course, you got anything that Jake Paul says, take like 10% of it and just dissect it, and you'll understand what he's trying to say. He's doing everything for not clout, I would say, because people chase him. Like, he's become the A side, if we're gonna use Mayweather's terms, but he's become the A side of that world. Like Tommy Fury is clearly not the money puller here. He's not pulling in fans. He's not that guy. I just like what Jake Paul's doing. I think that he's woken a lot of people up, and there's really nothing wrong with what he's doing. And he's fought. It's not as if like when he says I'm gonna beat Canelo, I want to fight Canelo. Like, I thought that Anderson Silva is a good fight for him. I didn't think that it should happen right now. I always thought Fury was the guy, and I believe that. But then Fury was going back and forth. I'm like, okay, well, Anderson Silva should be the guy. Like, he just won. Like, he's 40. Everybody that Jake Paul fights against has to have something that like kind of takes away a little bit of credit in order to give them the legitimacy, right? So Anderson Silva's like, oh, he's a sick boxer, but he's 40, so Jake Paul would be good for him, So now Jake Paul's getting that respect to the point where he could fight older good strikers, where before he was knocking out wrestlers and YouTubers. You know what I mean? So his the respect globally is growing for Jake Paul. I've always had it because he's only fought people in his category, so you can't say anything wrong with that. So I'm all for it, man. I would love to see him fight in MMA. I don't think it'll happen this year. But what do you think? What's the timeline for him to fight in UFC, if not MMA?
Well, just to circle back to what you said before, I mean, the reason why I don't think the Anderson Silva fight makes sense is because should he win, you have two things going on the table. Oh, he's 40. Oh, he's an MMA fighter. Let's see him fight a boxer. Let's see him fight somebody younger. Now he's fighting a boxer. Now he's fighting somebody younger. So we're ticking off two boxes there. And then you add into the fact that he's beating somebody in the Fury family, which I don't really count because let's be real here. The difference between Tyson and Tommy is so far away. It's like comparing the Earth to Uranus,
Other than their accents and their voice, they have literally nothing the same. Like, they don't fight the same. They don't nothing. They don't look the same. No. Like, you would never be. We look more like brothers than they do.
Absolutely.
Right.
There's no doubt about that. And I believe they are half brothers. So I don't think that they share the same mom. But to circle back to what you said before, do I think that Jake Paul will fight in MMA? I do. I think he will. I don't see him fighting in the UFC. I don't see him fighting in PFL. I don't see him fighting in Bellator or Eagle FC or One, for that matter. I do see him putting on his own promotion, perhaps similar to what De La Hoya tried to do with Golden Boy, except probably run it more successfully. But let's be real here. I mean, he's going to have to find a guy who's a free agent or, from a banner that will be willing to sign over their fighter. Like, I'll be real with you. I think that Bellator would let Dylan Dennis fight Jake Paul, but I don't think that fight would happen. I think we have a better chance of seeing Dylan Dennis fight one of the Paul brothers in boxing. I'd love to see Logan fight Dylan Dennis on the co-main event of maybe a Jake Paul and KSI fight or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. For MMA, you're talking about an MMA, right?
No, in boxing, I don't see why the Paul brothers would want to fight Dennis in MMA, considering his jiu-jitsu background. But I don't know if we're going to see Jake Paul in MMA, and I think it would be a mistake. I think we already saw it in Conor McGregor, how steering away from boxing, MMA to go to boxing to chase that bag and the legacy and beating Floyd Mayweather is actually one of the catalysts to why McGregor's career is where it is right now.
Yeah.
Not from a financial standpoint, but as a professional fighter, let's be honest here, that was a fucking big detour, man.
Yeah, huge. I mean, the thing is that you sometimes you shoot for the stars, or you shoot for something that you're going to go for, and if it doesn't hit, man, you have to go right back to the bottom of that ladder, and that's the worst part about it. So what's next for you, man? What's going on with AC Radio? I mean, I was just watching the interview with Jesse Thompson, so it's fantastic, man. Honestly, I think you're doing a great job. I love it. I
appreciate it. Yeah, the latest episode is with Coach Jesse Thompson, who's going to be working tonight. So we're June 23rd, Thursday, on one of Eye of the Tiger's biggest boxing shows in history. I mean, it's completely stacked, multiple title fights on it. So he'll be cornering his fighter, Avery Martin Duval, who's a 6-0-1, looking to be 7-0-1. That draw seemed as if he got robbed in Mexico. Probably judges weren't favoring him. So, let's call him an 8-0 fighter. And he's won the Golden Gloves almost every year for his amateur career. He's a fantastic fighter. Stephen Bang Bang Butler is fighting Brandon Brewer for the NABF super middleweight title, or the middleweight title. Artem Ogogian is fighting. Mary Spence is fighting. It's just Eric Bazinian is fighting.
Yeah.
It's a completely stacked card. So, I had Coach Thompson on the show. We spoke a little bit about his roster of fighters. Brandon Moore, who's based out of Florida, actually. So Jesse is expanding his stable into the United States. He's got Avery Martin Duval. He's got the Black Buffalo, Mighty Mo. And, obviously he has the future heavyweight champion of the world, Harley Morenstein, who fought in the Creator Clash. So I had to have him on the show. I'm a big MMA guy, a big boxing guy, but what?
Are you a bacon guy though?
What?
Are you a bacon guy?
Am I a bacon guy?
Yeah, Harley Morenstein's the king of bacon.
Listen, I dabble. But more importantly, I came from, being a young professional wrestling fan in the WWF, WWE days. And to be honest with you, this YouTube boxing is pretty much the closest thing that is still giving me that storyline meets entertainment, but also meets actually the real thing of combat sports. So I'm a sucker for it. But, in terms of what's next for AC Radio, I mean, look, we're only 8 episodes in, which is surprising considering I've put so much planning and time and effort in the studio and the equipment and all of that. But we're only 8 episodes in, so got a long way to grow. If I compare 8 episodes to how much stuff Hot Sauce Sports has done, I'm a rookie of the rookies. You know what I mean? But
your views look better than ours did at the beginning, I will say.
Okay, listen, I'm not all right. Whatever, it is what
it is. No,
I'm
just saying that it's just you're doing a good job. Like
I get you, man. Yeah. But you know what? Consistency above all. It's easy to pump out 10 episodes. So we'll see where AC Radio's at in a year. I'm hard on myself. I'm hard on the production of the show and how everything should go. So I celebrate the wins for about 3 milliseconds. And then I'm thinking how we could grow the show. So, just trying to get better guests in, bigger guests, trying to get more folks in studio, which will be a bit difficult, but I digress. And, we'll see what happens with this play-by-play commentary thing. And, most importantly, it's all about just remaining consistent and pumping out content for the best possible opportunities for AC Radio.
I played football with Harley growing up. I played 1 season with him for the Mustangs. He was probably the funniest guy ever. And then he just launches that YouTube channel when YouTube was at its infancy, and now he's a boxer. You know what I mean? Like, more or less, for lack of a better term, he's a professional boxer. He got paid to box. He's a professional boxer.
Yeah.
And it's just Harley's always been the guy, and it's always impressive. A kid from the West Island. And he picked the right coach. Jesse is such a good dude, and he's also one of the best coaches that we don't even know about in the world right now.
Yeah, he's a young guy, 31 years old, with a wealth of experience. Been in the corner of Lucien Boutte, been in the corner of Ryan Ford, has been the assistant coach of Simon Keane. So, some big names that he has worked with. He's only 31 years old. I absolutely don't see anybody else that Harley could have worked with besides Jesse. He did work with Lance Lundy as well from TriStar Gym, who was a former, I believe, national champion of Canada, and did a little bit of pro fighting and then stuck with coaching after that. But Jesse, in my opinion, is the best fit for Harley. And yeah, it's amazing to see, he was hot on Epic Mealtime since about 2012, 2013, 14. And, like most people are doing, dude, they are rebranding and also building more longevity in their career by throwing in this boxing thing. And, some people hate it. Some people love it. But, 12,000 people were at that arena screaming their fucking heads off. So the joke's on the haters, man.
He's talking about rebranding. Harley's rebranding to a boxer. You rebranded unanimous decision to AC Radio. It's doing well. I'm rebranding my entire career, so we're gonna see what's gonna happen. You have to change, right? And I think that's what you're trying to get to. And one aspect I do like about your show is that you'll always give, well, on the Jesse Thompson interview, it's more as a one-on-one, but when you're in there, you're giving your, the fitness training advice and staying focused and, the motivation and all that part. And, that's the part that kind of drives me to the page, is because, I look at that too. Like I'm on kind of like a get back in shape weight loss journey right now, and it's doing well. And, sometimes you just want to hear a little bit of motivation, and things like that work a lot. So I appreciate that, like on a personal standpoint, Adam. I really do.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, when I rebranded AC Radio, the goal is to discuss anything that I want to talk about, which is obviously the fight game. I'll get on here anytime and rap with you about football or hockey or basketball or whatever it is. But, I am a business owner. I am a personal trainer. So I do know a thing or two, obviously, about fitness. And, as someone also who struggled with weight my whole life and, is also in a rebuilding phase also, which I'm not ashamed to say, I understand how difficult it is. And I understand that people do need a kick in the ass, and people do need to understand that there is always light at the end of that tunnel. It's just always hard to see it when you're at the beginning or the, the middle stages of that dark place. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you were a 9-year-old kid, I'm going to hit you with some nostalgia now. When you're a 9-year-old kid and you're playing fucking Pokemon Red or Blue and you beat that first badge and then they tell you to get into that cave, you're like, holy shit, I'm going to be in this cave forever, man.
I never played Pokemon.
Okay, well, all right, now I understand.
I've honestly, I never got into it.
This actually explains a lot about you now as a person. But you
was
never
doubting
really
myself,
know when you're going to get out of that tunnel, and it's important to have people in your corner that want to see you succeed and want to see you motivated. And there's so much bullshit on social media and online. Everybody out there is trying to clickbait, trying to say the easy and the fun stuff to get likes, follow, subscribers. But I truly speak from the heart, and I speak from past experiences. So when I say it, I mean it, because I've also lived it, and I am even living it as we speak. And the average person likes to make it like their life is so fine and dandy. And I love what David Goggins said. He said, when you're sitting down, you're having a coffee with a friend, and they're kind of making it seem like their life is so great. It ain't so great. They're just better than you at hiding their demons and their darkness. So I like to bring all that darkness to light and, get asses motivated in the seats. And to be honest with you, a lot of folks have actually been happier with the fitness and motivation side than the boxing side. But again, man, I made AC Radio to discuss what I want to talk about. And in turn, if you give it a chance, you give it a shot, you'll actually learn a thing or two about something that you didn't think you would, because I like to break it down to the casual to intermediate fan, the fight stuff, and as well as the fitness stuff.
That's it, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, buddy. They can find you at Adam Caplan 13, like you see on the screen, and at the AC Radio on YouTube. Obviously, they can listen on Spotify and Apple Pods as well. That was Adam Caplan, the voice in your ears, buddy. Good luck this weekend. I'll be watching 100%. Fight.tv. If you can't make it to the Niagara Convention Center, Fight.tv to watch Front Row Fight Club's first event. Good dudes over there. They had an event going day before it got canceled, still paid the fighters. A year later, almost a year later, we're back, and they have a bunch of Canadian talent out there. Michael Imperato is still fighting. I don't think his fight is canceled, right? Canadian MMA legend too. So check it out, Fight.tv. I think it's $14.99 from what I remember. $14.99. It's easy. Watch Canadian content, Canadian MMA. It's fantastic. And you're going to hear the best play-by-play commentator that nobody knows about, Adam Caplan, the voice in your ears. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Sheesh. Thanks, T.